right there in the back of the spot. I need the time. If you know me, you don't know me to stop. I need the time. All my people there in back of the spot. Let off the shot. And you don't judge me, got rich one day. Life never just slip your way. I gave up, take my free trips to the good Cali Vans.
I just wanted to demonstrate the exhaust and give you guys a feel for what to expect if you do something like this to your GTR. So the owner, Kenji, was nice enough to let us take this car out and do a little video. So let's check it out. Here you can see we're off right now. We'll go ahead and start this up and you can hear the difference. So right now, it's very quiet. It's actually almost like stock. Very quiet. And in the car, definitely. You can hear a little bit from the mid pipe and that's about it. But very quiet. And now, with this button, we're going to turn this on and you'll hear the difference. So, a much more aggressive tone, you can hear it. So now we'll drive a little bit. You can hear the difference. So this is with the exhaust open right now. Got a nice, pretty loud tone to it. And then if I shut it, it goes almost silent. That's so neat. It literally feels like it's factory now. It doesn't feel highly modified at all. So a huge difference in the sound just from the exhaust. And turn it back on, and then the sound comes back. Really cool. I'm enjoying it. So now we'll, with your permission, we'll do a little wide open. Feel it? All right. Down to first gear. We've got our stuff off, our nannies. Boost is set good. All right, here we go. What do you think of that?
Man, that's fast.
I think those results speak for themselves.
GTR started production back in 1969 with the Hakusuka GTR, which is a personal favourite of mine, and then in 1973 with the Kenmeri GTR. Things went a little bit quiet for a while, and then Nissan came back in 1989 with their more famous line of GTRs with Fast and Furious. And this, if you didn't know or hadn't guessed it already, is the R35, and it is an absolute animal. Jesus Christ. This is easily the quickest car I think I've ever driven for Life 1 Unleaded, hands down. The GTR hit the UK market back in 2009 and it took it by storm, with the twin-turbo 3.8 litre V6 pushing out 480 brake horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, and thanks to a fantastic four-wheel drive and launch control system, this thing would fly to 0 to 60 in about 3.3 seconds. And 3.3 seconds is impressive for most cars, even more so given that the 2009 car weighed almost 1,800 kilograms, and Nissan didn't even stop there. Because the car wants to end up in a ditch. Now the GTR is only offered in a semi-automatic transmission. I know some people would probably argue that it should have come with a 3-pedal setup with the old Nissan GTRs, but this 6-speed dual-clutch transmission is so good, especially when you go fast. The gear changes are pretty much seamless. And this gearbox just emphasises what this car loves through town, and it's quite clunky, and you can hear everything work because the car's not soundproofed that well. And some people might think that's kind of annoying, but I really like it. I love to hear everything work and hear the clutch and all that sort of thing, but that's just me personally. It's like it's going, no, don't make me go slow, I want to go fast. I want to go fast. The gear changes when you go fast are seamless. It is just like instantaneous. The brakes are very good too. Not bitey, really easy to modulate, which I thought they'd be quite bitey in this, but they're not. That's very good as well. The suspension, as you'd imagine, is quite firm, but this is a sporty car, so you'd expect it to be sporty, and when you think of a GTR, you wouldn't exactly think of a Rolls Royce soaking up potholes. However, they do give you the option of adjustable dampers, which is pretty good. It goes from comfort to normal and to race. However, they might as well have just labelled them hard, even harder, me after watching the Victoria's Secret fashion show. As for fuel economy, you'll get about 25 miles per gallon combined if you behave yourself on a motorway. But chances are, if you're in a GTR, you definitely won't. So you'll get about 15. And its 70-litre fuel tank will cost about £100 to fill up. But the good news is, it's actually quite practical. It's got 4 seats, although the 2 in the back aren't that roomy. And the boot's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So you can have a round of golf, do the weekly shopping, do the airport run, or even if you just fancied a nap and ease. Yeah, I'm not proud of that joke either. Let's just forget that happened. And even more surprising in its practicality is the car's functionality. I mean, it's got cruise control, climate control, air conditioning, great Bose sound system, Bluetooth, iPod connectivity, CD player, and even a sat-nav in later models that has a speed camera alert system, which, trust me, is absolutely essential.
Speed camera.
Thank you. That's saved me a few points. But don't let those everyday consumer mod cons fool you. This is a really driver-focused car. I love the cockpit, and one thing I love even more than that is this multi-function meter in the middle, and that shows you things like engine oil pressure, brake pressure, torque split, shows you lap times, and even shows you how many G's you're pulling. And that's fantastic for the PlayStation generation. It really takes you back to the days where, as a kid, you'd like hurl your favourite car around in Gran Turismo, except in real life. However, this information is probably only any use to you if you're on a track. So I imagine if you were going down to the shops and you had all this stuff flying at you, alerts and everything, it'd probably feel like being stuck in a WhatsApp group. And with the car being really moulded around and focused on the driver, it compromises somewhat on the luxury. I mean, the visibility is great, driving position is great, but it's not as nice a place to be as its rivals like the R8 or the 911 Turbo. And if I'm being really honest, it's not as pretty on the outside either. I'm not saying it's ugly, it's got great sort of road presence, it's squat, it's mean, it's got a healthy dose of dead ass. But it's really heavy looking, which is funny considering how quick and so nimble this car is. This particular GTR I'm driving is a 2012 with about 80,000 miles on it, and it's probably worth about 55 grand against the list price of 70. But you can pick up a 2009 Nissan GTR with about 40,000 miles on it for under 35 grand. Now this price back then was about 60,000, so you're saving almost 50% of the value in 5 years. And when you consider this thing makes a bat out of hell look like a snail having an asthma attack, that is incredible value for money. If you're in the market for a used GTR, there's not a lot of things to keep your eye out for because it comes with quite a lot of goodies anyway. One thing I would say is if you're going for an 09, try and get one with sat-nav and reversing camera because that's really helpful. There's a couple of variations on models as well. It starts with the premium edition, and then you move on to the black edition, which, despite the menacing name, isn't actually any quicker. It just comes with a couple more carbon fibre bits and these Recaro branded sport seats with red accents, which, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of. I think I prefer the all black clean look of the premium edition. And as I mentioned earlier, Nissan upgraded the power in 2011 and 2013. So for a 2011 with the 520 brake, you're probably starting around 50 grand in the second-hand market, and the 550 brake 2013 models are probably around 65 grand as well for the average mileage one. They also released a track pack model in 2012, which had sort of various weight-saving bits on it to the sum of about 20 kilograms, like the V-spec wheels and taking out the rear seats. It commanded a 10 grand premium when they first came out. I didn't think it was worth it then, and I definitely don't think it's worth it now. I mean, most people probably wouldn't notice the difference in weight saving, and it's always nice to have 2 seats in the back. And if you wanted the full bells and whistles, you could spend 120 grand to get the Nissan Nismo GTR, which is pretty much almost a GT3 car for the road. But trust me when I say the stock GTR is more than enough. And if you're trawling through the second-hand market for a Nissan GTR, you'll probably find that half of them, if not more, have been tuned. Most likely by a company called Litchfields, who are a very well-known Nissan GTR specialist in the UK. And no, I'm not being paid to say that. The friend of mine that very kindly gave me this car said he'd been looked after really well by Litchfields, and they'd given him a fantastic service. So I thought it was only fair for me to pass on his experiences and recommendations to you guys, so you've got some options just in case you're in the market to get it serviced or tuned by a specialist. So don't be put off by the 600 brake monsters lurking in the classifieds. Most of the work's been carried out by GTR specialists that are really well known, and they offer great warranty on their work too, so just make sure it was carried out by one of those specialists, and it shouldn't impact too much on the value of the car. But if you're not into tuning and you want a stock GTR, that's absolutely fine too. I think the standard power is more than enough. If I had 600-700 brake in something like this, I think I'd be more nervous about driving it than lending my laptop to a friend without deleting my browser. With regards to maintenance, the servicing starts at about 240 quid. However, that's only for a late model GTR with low mileage. For the early models I mentioned that are slightly cheaper, the 09s with about 30-40,000 miles on it, you're going to be looking at about 800 quid for a service. And at 50,000 miles, it's 1,300 quid. And logic would dictate that it's only going to get more expensive as the miles go up. It's probably worth noting as well that the 2009-2010 GTRs have to be serviced every 6,000 miles, every 6 months. And 2011 onwards, it got upgraded to 12,000 miles or 12 months. So if you decide to get a slightly more expensive or newer model from 2011 onwards, you should save yourself a few pennies when it comes to maintaining it. With regards to getting an extended warranty, Nissan will only cover cars that are under 7 years old and under 75,000 miles. So if your car does run out of warranty and you do decide to give Nissan a call, it will cost you 3 grand. However, on lifeonunleaded.com, we've got resources that provide third-party warranties for an early model 2009 GTR with about 30-40,000 miles on it for about £800, so you save yourself over 2 grand. But don't put that 2 grand away just yet, because when you've bought your shiny new GTR, you're going to need to put 4 tyres on it, and that's exactly what Nissan will charge you for them. 4 tyres for 2 grand. But don't worry, on lifeonunleaded.com, we've got resources for tyres too. You can get fronts for about 220 to 320 quid and rears for about 280 to 390, all of well-known brands. So the car's not exactly the cheapest in terms of maintenance when it comes to all the other ones that I've reviewed, but they've been around for a long time and there's loads of specialists around that look after them, so you can save yourself money when it comes to maintaining them. All in all, if you're after a car that can quite easily cater for a school run or a weekly shop and absolutely slay supercars while it's at it, I genuinely cannot think of a car that is better value for money than the Nissan GTR. It is ballistic. So that's what I thought it was like to live with a Nissan GTR. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. And also I want to know, what would you guys rather have, a Nissan GTR or a £100,000 supercar? Leave your answer down below and I'll see you guys soon. So the new GTR in 2011 had about 520 brake horsepower and about 450 pound-feet of torque. And then in 2013 it had up from 550 brake horsepower. And all 3 generations are good for about 129 mile an hour. And the problem is, when I talk slow, I feel like I'm going, yeah, man, yeah. Don't worry about that. I sound like Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad now if I do that. What's for breakfast, Mom? Emery, you're such a bitch, Mom. That's going to be like a daily feature. Walt Jr. drives a GTR. Mom, this car's so quick, Mom. You're so fast. Dad, you're so awesome giving me this car, man. Hello, Mr. Lady. Mr. Lady? Mr. Dogman. Hello, I'm Barry Dogman. I'm to be your lawyer for today. I don't know why my brain just says things. As for fuel economy, you'll get about 25 miles per gallon when you behave yourself combined. However, chances are if you're in one of these, you definitely won't, so you'll get about 15. which is fairly frightening when you consider it's 70 litre fuel tank will cost you about 50 quid. Wish it cost 50 quid to fill up. Hey, cost you a ton, man. Cost you 2 readies to fill up. Whee! Whee!